metal as well, you'll always use more corpses. Now, kill!
Good evening, Riv here, and welcome back to Elder Scrolls Online. This is the second video in the series. The first one seemed to be fairly well liked, so I thought I'd continue on with another character. Just to avoid the more standardised tanks that I have, I've gone with my Warden tank. So this is him. His name is Felbar, which Forgotten Realms name, the Felbar Dwarves. He's a Redguard Warden. Of the advanced stats, anyone I'm really interested in is the block mitigation. So this tank is all about the block mitigation. He spends most of his time blocking, so you want that block mitigation to be as high as possible. I've put everything, the traits on the gear, the championship points, everything into making block as good as it can be. I also have some gear, which we'll get into in a minute, designed to increase that block effectiveness. So block mitigation, 69%. That means 69% of all the damage that's dealt to him is mitigated by his block, as long as he has the resource there to make the block effective. You can see all the other stats there in case you're interested. Too many numbers for me, so I'm not going to bother. Attributes, so we've gone with 50-50 on health and stamina. 30 points into health for obvious reasons, more health. Stamina, the blocking resource that you use is stamina based, which I'll show you in a moment. Even though he uses 2 staves, there's no magicka lost when he blocks with a staff. And because he's blocking all the time, you're not going to get the passive regen on this stamina, because when you're blocking, you don't regen stamina. So I've given it 34 points into stamina there, just to give him a fairly decent pool, but I do have some skills that will help him with his regen. So magicka recovery is the resource that we're focusing on to cast or use his abilities. So he's got 20k magicka, 35k in health, and 26k stamina, and his magicka recovery is 1500. His physical and spell resistance, they're tapping out at 24k, but there are abilities that will increase that as well. So that's about it that we want to cover here. Mud Stone is the Atronach, just to increase that magicka recovery. So I'll show you the gear now. Okay, so I've gone with 2 sets of gear for the weapons and jewelry, and I'm using arena weapons. So on the front bar, I'm using Vadashran's Ice Staff. Vadashran is a solo arena that you do in... Vadashran Arena is in the Reach. So having 2 items in the set, which having the staff takes up those 2 set pieces. When you cast the weakness element on a target within 15 meters, you cause a surge of elemental energy to tether between you for 10 seconds. While the tether persists, enemies touching the tether take 700 flame, shock, or frost damage every second, which increases by 1% each time it deals damage up to 20%. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds and scales off the higher your weapon or spell damage. Curse of Elements is something that we'll use, which I'll show you the skill now. That's it there, weakness to element, elemental drain. Send elements to sap an enemy's defense and inflict them with a major breach for 23 seconds, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5.5k. Also applies the minor magicka steal to the enemy for 23 seconds, causing you and your allies to restore 168 magicka every second while damaging them. I'm damaging them quite a bit with the skills that I'm using and the teammates. So you want to be able to reduce the physical and spell resistance of the mobs that you're targeting, especially bosses, because it brings them down quicker. That's something which is also a free ability to use. It doesn't cost, you can see there's no resource usage there. It doesn't cost anything to cast it, so cast it all the time. It reduces their resistances, helps your teammates and yourself to regen your magicka, and also brings this tether up, so you're doing extra damage as well. On the back bar, I have the Black Rose Ice Staff. Black Rose Prison comes from Murkmire. And it's the Black Rose Prison group arena. So you can take a group down there. I found that wandering around the zone, I've done it on 2 characters, the quest line through it. There aren't many people in zone chat looking to run it, so you'd probably want to be advertising that yourself. Get some friends, guildmates, whatnot, and head down there to do it. It's not super difficult, but some of the mechanics can be a little bit tough if you're not sure on them. But having the staff in there gives you the 2-piece bonus. It reduces the cost of impulse by 10%, and impulse places a lingering elemental damage on your target, dealing 1300 flame, shock, and frost damage over 8 seconds. Not a huge amount, but all 3 elements is cool, and each element ticks once over the duration, and its damage scales off the higher weapon or spell damage. Just increases your AoE ability. I'll show you that one in a second. So the 2 sets that we're using is the Dragon's Defilement set and the Frozen Watcher set. Now we'll do Dragon Defilement first. Fairly traditional tank set. It's obviously heavy armor. It gives you, over the 5 pieces, stamina, health, and the 5th one, when you take damage from a melee attack, gains a corrupting aura for 5 seconds that applies minor breach to all enemies within 8 meters of you, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 2900. Which can be applied every 5 seconds. Now you'll see over here that is major breach, so you're applying both minor and major. Minor just by being attacked, and major by the mobs that you're targeting. So if you're getting hit by a boss, you have that on there, you're going to be reducing them as much as possible. And the second set, the Frozen Watcher, another fairly standard tanking set of bonuses, extra stamina and health. The 5th one, it summons a blizzard around you while bracing, inflicting 1200 frost damage every second to enemies within 6 meters. This effect scales off your max health. The more health you have, the more damage it does. Blizzard has a 15% chance of inflicting chilled on enemies as well. So by that, all you have to do is block. And you can see the effect of it there. So this is just one of the bonuses of having a block tank. You spend most of your time like this, so get into where you're going and just walk around. You'll be defending yourself against their attacks and damaging them while you're at it. Pretty simple. We'll cover the skills now. So we'll do the back bar first. Back bar is fairly simple. It's AoE stuff, so the Impaling Shards, Winter's Revenge. It's the morph that allows you to target a distance. So I can target down there. Just pops out with this big ice AoE effect. Enemies hit are overcome with bitter cold, reducing movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. Ability has a higher chance to apply the chilled status effect. Frost tanking. Blockade of Frost. The Wall of Elements, very traditional magicka based tanking ability. Slam the staff down, do frost damage to every enemy in the area. I went with the morph that gives you a bigger area of effect. And then Impale, which is the one that comes off your weapon. Reduces the cost and applies a damage over time to everyone that it hits. So the cost of that is 3100. It has a radius of 6 meters. Releases a surge of frost damage to nearby enemies, afflicting them with minor mangle, reducing their max health by 10% for 9 seconds. And applies minor protection to you and nearby group members for 6 seconds, reducing the damage taken by 5%. Less damage coming into you and your group mates. It's an ability that I use quite often. Then we move on to Arctic Blast. It gives you a shield, heals you up, and does frost damage around you every 1 second for 5 seconds. So combine that with your blocking, your impulse, chuck down Winter's Revenge. It's a lot of frost damage coming around all around you. Expensive Frost Cloak, I don't use it very much, but it is pretty cool to have on for a boss fight or a trash pool that's got a lot of mobs in it. Just 20-second duration, increases your, it gives you major resolve, increasing physical and spell resistance by nearly 6k for 20 seconds. And that also does your allies as well, so it's not just for you. The ultimate that I went with is Aggressive Horn. I've only just picked up the morph for it. It increases you and your group's max magicka and max stamina by 10% for 30 seconds. And you gain major force, increasing your critical damage by 20% for 7 seconds. So not too bad there. So that's an ability I've seen in most groups. Someone will have a war horn there. Okay, front bar, that's your main tanking bar, and it's the bar that you'll be sitting on majority of time. Flick over to the back bar, drop in all your AoEs, flick over to the front bar, and do what needs to be done. So I got the taunt on the front bar. I went with the frost clench. I could have used the what's it called? The Undaunted's Inner Rage. That does have a longer range, 28 meters versus 15 meters. But this is a frost tank, and I just like the theme of having everything frost related. What does it do? Deals 2800 frost damage, applies the chilled status effect, and taunts them for 15 seconds. Also immobilizes the enemy and inflicts major maim for 5 seconds, reducing their damage done by 10%. So I think the reduction in range of clench over inner rage is offset quite nicely with the themed, the extra frost damage, the chilled status effect, and the immobilization and major maim. So a lot of stuff going on with that taunt, whereas inner rage just taunts them, does a bit of magic damage, and it does have a synergy. But the problem I found with that inner rage synergy, the only person who really uses that synergy would be a healer. Everyone else seems to be fairly close, and you have to be pretty far away to see that synergy. I think the range of it, the 28 meters, you've got to be around that kind of range to even get the pop-up to use the synergy. I have seen it on a few occasions, but it's only a glimpse as it pops up on the screen as I'm charging in with whichever character I happen to be playing. It's just not something that I see being used a lot. Whereas using this one, you don't need to rely on a synergy, you just get those bonuses. So that's the reason I went with that one. Elemental Drain, went through that one very briefly before. Major Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance. There's no cost to it, so you can chuck it any which way you want. Minor Magic Steel gives you a bit of extra resources. Turn Evil, that's one I've had on recently. It is a stamina usage, one of the very few, I think actually it's the only stamina usage ability I've got. I did want to swap it out with something else, but I haven't found anything that really suits it quite well. So this one, I went with the Circle of Protection morph because it gives you that 5% damage reduction to anyone standing inside. It gives you that fear. It's only 2 seconds at the moment, but I think it gets up to around 6 seconds from memory when it's maxed out at level 4. The stamina recovery means nothing to you because you're always in block. So yeah, that ability is going to get swapped out at some point when I find something that better suits the build. Frozen Device, I don't use that very often. In fact, it's pretty rare that I do use it, but I have used it a couple of times and I did find it useful. There's no charging on here, and because the range taunt is quite small, only 15 meters, having this ability just enables you to better manage those long range DPS mobs that come through. So it doesn't get used very often, but it's there just in case. The best skill that I have on the front bar here is the Warden Bull Netch. What it does is it restores 5k stamina over 25 seconds and grants major brutality and sorcery. The secondary part of it, not an issue, don't need the extra weapon and spell damage, although, you know, it's extra damage. And every 5 seconds the Netch removes 1 negative effect on you. The thing about this that we want, it's free to cast, doesn't cost any resources, and it gives you 49.92, 5k stamina over 25 seconds. Have it on all the time, because when you're blocking, you're not recovering your stamina, so you're relying on potions or this to top your stamina up. And when someone does hit you, it removes your stamina, so you need that up there, otherwise you're not going to be able to block anything. I have gone into Destruction Staff, and I don't have the Tri-Focus ability. That's intentional because you'll see down the bottom there, a fully charged ice staff heavy attack grants you a damage shield that absorbs 4,400 damage. I'm not sure what that gets up to, probably double that, got about 8k damage shield when it's got 2 points into it. That's cool. Having extra shield's always good, but when an ice staff is equipped, blocking costs magicka instead of stamina. I've purposely not taken that because I want my blocking to cost stamina. You be quiet. I want my blocking to use stamina instead of magicka, so I miss out on the damage shield from the heavy attacks, but all of my blocks come from stamina now instead of magicka. And all of my abilities cost magicka, or they're free, like this one, like the Bull Netch and like Elemental Drain. So yeah, that one, it's going to get swapped out for something when I eventually figure out what I want to put in there. And I have Reviving Barrier as the ultimate on the front bar. Because I'm always on this bar, that's the one that's going to passively increase my magicka. Went into this with the Nightblade tank. Having that there, haven't got up to rank 9 yet, so it's only 1 point into magicka aid, but it increases magicka recovery by 5%. Once I do a bit more PvP and get up to rank 9, that'll be a 10% bonus. So that's about it. Potion-wise, I have my health, have magicka, have stamina, and I've recently put the, what do they call the crown store ones? The crown tri restoration potion does your health, magicka, and stamina. I have many thousands of them. You can see this add-on that I've got, bottom right corner. I got nearly 4,000 of them in the bank, and each character's got a couple hundred of them on there. You pick them up with your daily logins. They just pop up. So these are the daily rewards. Yeah, there's a non-combat pet coming up. There's another 175 of those potions. There's some poison. Yeah. Nothing super special in there. Repair kits, never use them. Yeah, so you end up with tons of these just by logging into the game each day. Okay, I think that'll about do it. Just very briefly show you some of these skills. So, yeah, that's the Fighter's Guild. That's the teleport. Any mob in there will teleport to you. And that's the Bull Netch. You'll see the aquary colour. That's the stamina. The other morph of the Netch gives magicka recovery, and colour is a bluey kind of colour. So charging into a fight, throw that out, chuck down one of those, get in there, just start doing that, bring out the shield and the health, and then just block, just walk around. That's pretty much it. Just keep an eye on your resources, and you're pretty much good to go. So championship points. Green's pretty boring. I picked up Rationer. Extra duration on your food and drink, it's always handy. 10% chance to not consume a potion or a poison when you use it. Extra combat speed outside of combat, so 20% bonus to your movement speed, just handy to get to and from. Quite useful when the DPS in a pug group just runs off and starts attacking things. Just enables you to keep up with them without chewing through your resources too much. Blue bar is pretty cool. Going fairly heavy on the defensive skills, so unassailable, a 6% damage reduction to area of effect. Frost staff or a shield increases your physical and spell resistance by 1900. When you brace, you gain a damage shield absorbing 5k damage for 3 seconds, which can occur every 10 seconds. You're bracing a lot, so that gets used a bit. Cutting defense, deal 867 magic damage to attackers when they damage you with a direct damage attack within 7 meters. I've also got the extra stamina and extra magicka passive. I went with all of these. Elemental Aegis, 2% damage reduction to magic, 2% damage reduction to physical, 2% healing taken, and 10% damage reduction from all non-player attacks. Then fairly heavy up here as well. Offensive penetration, flawless ritual, war mage, all maxed out. I will eventually max out both of those. And that's about it for the blue tree. That is it for the blue tree. Alright, red tree is where we're at for tanking. So we have fortified for the extra armor, picked up all the passives. Basically I went into here, reduced the sprint cost of stamina, picked up the extra movement speed as well as the increased movement speed down here. Then the passives in this blocking line, and then picked up most of the abilities in here. The passive increases movement speed while bracing. You are bracing a lot, so and this one here. So when in combat, increases the amount of damage you can block by 4% per stage. So we're talking about an extra 20% block mitigation, but it reduces your movement speed by 16% at all stages. That's why we've gone into all these movement speed buffs to offset this reduction in your movement. When you successfully block an attack, you have a 15% chance to restore 147 damage per stage. At 50 points, 735. So every time you successfully block an attack, there's a 15% chance you're going to restore nearly 1,000 health back. Then just more points into these passives over here. I put some points into that as well. Reduces elemental status effects by 25%. Okay, that's the championship points done. Can I think of anything else? No. I think we're about due for a random dungeon. Okay, hopefully it's going to be a nice, quick, simple one that we can blast through. Okay, let's have a quick check and see what we're dealing with. Yeah. Gonna be a cakewalk. Do the polite thing. This guy's gonna be taking from it, which is nice. So it's just keeping that niche up there.
Have you come to meddle as well? You could always use more corpses.
So it's just refreshing those.
Tormented souls of the dead arise and kill these interlopers.
It's not really a fair comparison with the group that I've got here, where we're blitzing through it pretty fast. But it's just a matter of refreshing all those damage over time skills.
We've got you now.
So even when you burn through your magicka, all you've got to do is block to keep them up.
Like we're digging some more shallow. Light it!
To the side!
Go around!
You can't take us all. two-away rest.
Well, that was nice and simple, wasn't it? Helps having a very high tier group running beside you. But essentially, just run in there, hold your block down, drop your AoE, make sure you taunt the bosses, and just let everything melt around you. Keep the party up with your, what's it called? Expansive Frost Cloak, and keep yourself topped up with health here. The extra resources are always handy for your group, and to keep yourself up in longer fights. But yeah, you saw it was pretty simple. I think that'll about do it. If you want to see any more of these, then let me know in the comments. I've got a bunch of other tanks. I've got some healers. DPS is DPS, but I'm happy to go through those. We can also do some solo runs. Maelstrom Arena, Vatashran Arena, do the group dungeons, Dragon Star, Black Rose, lots to do, plenty of things that we can do videos on. Just let me know what you're after. So drop me a like, throw a few comments in, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.